Hello, friends. Tonight's story is called The Journey Back. It was submitted by T. Myers. Let's begin. Professor Leonard Kimbrough was a man of science, a man who dedicated his life to studying consciousness and the unexplained corners of the human mind. At 45, he wasn't someone who scared easily. But what happened after his accident was beyond anything he could have ever imagined or explained. It started with a simple, sudden fall. The impact was severe, causing a brain injury that left him drifting in and out of lucidity. The doctors, seeing no other option, placed him into a medically induced coma. For Leonard, this wasn't the end. This was the beginning of a journey into realms beyond our own. He didn't wake up into darkness. He arrived in it. It was like being in a vast, silent cavern. The walls were jagged, disappearing into an infinite black. There were no doors, no tunnels, just a faint, ethereal glow tracing the floor at his feet. He felt a strange mix of awe and unease, like standing in the entryway of a place he wasn't meant to linger. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows. A young woman, perhaps in her 20s, with a serene face and eyes that seemed to hold the depth of the entire universe. She didn't speak, yet her voice echoed clearly inside his mind. "You won't be here long." Leonard tried to respond, but his mouth wouldn't move. Words weren't needed. Their thoughts flowed between them, a seamless, telepathic conversation. Before he could even form the question of where he was, she gestured towards a soft shimmer in the air. Then, they gently floated in that direction. The cavern dissolved around them, and what unfolded next was pure paradise. This was the second realm, a realm of light. But not sunlight. It was something purer, something alive. Endless fields stretched out, carpeted with flowers of colors he had never seen, colors that pulsed with warmth and a profound sense of love. The moment he entered this space, every worry, every burden, every scar he carried from his life on Earth simply evaporated. It was as if they never belonged to him in the first place. On the horizon, he saw buildings, but they weren't made of stone or steel. They seemed to be sculpted from pure energy, structures formed from radiance itself. He hovered silently beside the young woman, his guide, who watched him with a look of gentle amusement. She knew exactly what he was feeling. "Everything here begins and ends with love," her voice wrapped around him like a warm blanket. As they drifted through this heavenly landscape, Leonard began to see faces. Familiar faces. His grandparents, who had passed away years ago. A beloved mentor he had lost too soon. An uncle he barely remembered from his childhood. Some turned and smiled, acknowledging him with peaceful nods. Others were engaged in their own activities, laughing, gardening, embracing each other, all completely at ease. This place didn't feel foreign at all. It felt like coming home. He had no idea how long they stayed there. Time had no meaning. It could have been moments, or it could have been an eternity. Then, his guide touched his arm lightly, a signal that their journey wasn't over. The world shifted once more. They entered a third realm. This one was a realm of pure, brilliant light. Blinding at first, it soon softened into a gentle, perpetual dawn that never fully arrived and never fully faded. There were no fields or flowers here, only vast openness, shimmering forms, blurred figures of light, moved with a clear sense of purpose. Felt like a place of immense knowledge, of deep study. "This is where many things are understood," the woman explained, "where enlightenment is uncovered." A deep longing washed over Leonard. A desire to stay, to learn, to finally grasp the deeper truths of existence that he had spent his life chasing. But his guide stepped in front of him, her face full of a gentle, knowing sorrow. "You're not staying long." They stood together in that profound peace, a peace he had never imagined possible. Then, slowly, like fog lifting from the sea, everything began to fade. The light, the figures, the woman, it all dissolved. And Leonard opened his eyes. He was in a hospital room. The steady beeping of machines, the sterile smell, the concerned faces of doctors looking down at him. They were amazed at his recovery. His daughter was overwhelmed with relief, tears streaming down her face. And Leonard, he remembered everything. Every single detail of the three realms, every wordless conversation, every impossible ray of light, and, most vividly, the face of the young woman who guided him. He told his daughter the entire story, painting a picture of the worlds he had just visited. When she asked who the young woman was, he could only shrug. "I don't know," he said, but she felt familiar. Life eventually returned to a semblance of normalcy. Leonard went back to teaching. He decorated his home for the holidays. He began to reconnect with the world he had so nearly left behind. But one thing still lingered in the back of his mind, a sense of emptiness he'd carried his whole life. Leonard was adopted. He loved his adoptive parents deeply, but he had always struggled with a feeling of being unrooted, a difficulty in trusting completely. That had started to change about a year before his accident, when he finally found his biological family. His birth mother, his father, and a sister named Catherine. But he also learned there had been another sister, one he never got to meet. Her name was Corinne. One evening in December, a Christmas card arrived from his sister, Catherine. Inside, tucked between the folds of the card, was an old photograph. Leonard's breath caught in his throat. His fingers trembled as he picked it up and stared at the faded image. It was her. The young woman in the picture, smiling brightly, was the same woman who had guided him through the realms beyond death. It was the face of his sister, Corinne, who had passed away years earlier. Tears welled in his eyes. Not tears of sadness or fear, but of overwhelming beauty and understanding. She had welcomed him. She had known him. She had walked him through worlds he wasn't meant to stay in, and then she had guided him back. Leonard pressed the photo to his chest. He finally understood. He had met his sister after all. Just not in this world. The emptiness he had carried for so long was finally filled with a profound sense of connection, a love that transcended life and death. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please share it and subscribe for more incredible journeys.